Hello and welcome everybody to yet another episode of A Simple Guide to a Sustainable Life. My name is Bas, my lovely director Dimfy is hiding behind the camera, and you came to the place where we share everything we know in order to help you become simply sustainable. If you are interested in sustainability just like us, please give this video a like and subscribe to our channel and hit the notification bell. Today, in part number 4 of the Impact Top 10 playlist, we are going to talk about the consequences of driving a car and what you can do to lower your impact on the environment even further. Why is it important to talk about this? Well, just like us and everybody else, you most likely have to travel a lot. Whether it's for your work, doing groceries, going to friends or family, going on a holiday, taking a car is often very easy and cheap. The downside, however, is that you found out that driving a car has a big impact on the environment after you did the hidden impact test. If you are new to this channel and haven't done so yet, don't worry, you can do it up here. So let's look at some facts and great ways to effectively lower your impact on the environment. Fact number 1. Worldwide, we have 830 million passenger cars, and they use up to 130 million liters of gasoline per hour. What? Oh my fucking god! Fact number 2. There are 6,600 cars being produced globally per hour. That translates up to 85 million new cars per year. On average, a Dutch person drives a little less than 9,000 kilometers per year. 80% of their rides are less than 5 kilometers long, and 90% of the time their car is parked or standing idle. To compensate for the CO2 emissions of using and producing a car, we would per person per year have to plant 300. Globally, that would mean we would have to plant a forest the size of Brazil every year. There are, of course, many more jaw-dropping facts to find, but something that is very important to understand for the category car is that it is a very scalable category. This means that it is extremely easy to go way above average pretty fast. Something that is also very important is to discuss whether driving electrically is much better than driving a gasoline car. Because a lot of people believe that driving electrically is going to be one of the biggest solutions of lowering our impact on the environment. So when we take the entire life cycles of an electric car and a normal car into consideration, we can find some inconvenient truths. First of all, an electric car is often much heavier than a normal gasoline car. This results in more wear and tear of the tire, which causes more microplastics to be released into the environment. Secondly, to build an electric car, you have to use all kinds of scarce materials such as lithium, copper, and silver. Not only are we going to run out by some of those by 2050, mining them also releases a lot of CO2 and other damaging agents into the environment. So yes, producing an electric car is more damaging to the environment than making a normal gasoline car. And even though it is true that while driving an electric car has a much lower impact on the environment than a normal car, we still have to keep the hidden impact in mind. So when you take everything into account, you will see that driving electrically has a 30% lower impact on the environment than a gasoline car. This is great, of course, but unfortunately it is not enough to reverse climate change. So let's look at some things that we can do that have even a bigger impact. And as usual, we are going to use the 5R pyramid and the home technique. This time we'll start with the 5R pyramid. Refuse. Simply the most effective thing you can do to lower your impact on the environment with driving a car is simply to refuse to drive one. But that's easier said than done, because driving a car is sometimes a necessity or it grants us a lot of ease into our life. But what you can also do is to look at how and when you use a car. Perhaps you can make a lifestyle change that makes sure that you don't have to use a car anymore. That way you don't have to refuse, you simply don't have a need for a car anymore. If you simply can't refuse to drive a car, the next best thing you can do is to reduce your usage. What are some great ways of doing that? You can move somewhere that's closer to home, friends and family. That way, when you have to drive, you won't have to drive as far anymore. Perhaps you can find a colleague or someone else to carpool with. That way, you won't need a car anymore and you can cut your costs and impact on the environment directly in half. Something that is becoming increasingly more popular nowadays is making use of an electric car sharing program. And yes, you'll get extra bonus points if it's an electric car. Let's say you want to go on a holiday with the car. Instead of owning one, you can also rent one or borrow one. Since 80% of all rides are 5 kilometers or less, just say to yourself next time, I'm gonna take the bike for this one. It's better for my health and the environment, and especially if you live in an inner city, you are going to be just as fast. If you have to travel longer distances, it can really make an impact if you take public transportation instead of your own car. Depending on how well it functions and the price, sometimes it can really be cheaper and faster. If you're thinking about buying a new car but you don't drive as much, this is gonna sound very strange, but it is true. Just keep driving your car until it breaks. This has a lower impact on the environment because the hidden impact of producing a new car lies roughly around 4,000 liters of gasoline. This is roughly going to save you around 300 a year. If that's the case, it will take more than 13 years until you actually start to save on your impact. Driving slower absolutely reduces your impact on the environment as well. If you drive 130 kilometers per hour, you are going to use 40% more fuel than when you drive 110 kilometers per hour. If you drive much faster, you are only going to gain a little bit of extra time, even if you go for longer distances. So most of the times it is not really worth it. Reuse. If you are planning on buying a car, it can most definitely save a lot of impact when you buy a lightweight second-hand car. If you drive a lot, it can really pay off to invest in an electric car and some solar panels. Recycle. In this case, the responsibility lies more with the manufacturer than with us as a consumer. We believe that manufacturing companies should start building modular and for a circular economy. This will prevent a whole lot more waste than we could ever recycle as consumers. It would also be of extremely great value if we start to use an ingredient passport for cars. In the previous video I already mentioned this, but I didn't explain what it was. An ingredient passport is basically a document in which you state which components have which materials in which quantities. That way it will never ever be worthless again. Then you can also establish a baseline value. What this is a value of just the basic elements if it's not working anymore. If we start doing this for just about every other product, not only will we drastically lower our waste and impact on the environment, we also make sure that all broken items become a new resource. Unfortunately, a car cannot rot. It can rust and then you get the lovely matter from cars. How can you apply any of these tips in your own life? Let's look at what Dimfy and I did when we used the home technique. Dimfy and I knew that we would gain more health if we would walk or take the bike more often instead of taking the car for a small ride. We've also read an article once about how unhealthy it can be to go jogging inside of the inner city because of all the fine dust and CO2 emissions. If we would stop taking the car for smaller distances, especially within the inner city, it would be healthier for us and everybody else. Overall happiness. Dimfy and I are both not into cars, but what we do want is easy and fast transportation. We mainly see a car as a very useful tool to have. At the moment, I'm still in between jobs because of the corona crisis, and ever since then, we hardly ever use it anymore. Of course, this is very wasteful. I'm also looking for a new job that's a lot closer to home that makes sure that I won't need to own a car anymore. As soon as I do, we are going to sell our car. So if you have a sustainable job for me, let me know. Sure, we were a little bit afraid that we couldn't be as spontaneous anymore as we would have been if we would keep our car. Luckily, we found out there is an electric car sharing program right in our own street. So if we are going to need a car in the future, we know that it will be available to us. If we're lucky, we are going to need the car a lot less, so it is going to save us time and we are going to live a lot more in line with our own values. So that's a very big plus for us. money. We are going to save a lot of money if we don't own a car anymore. I made a list of the insurance, the parking, the gasoline, upkeep, etc. It totaled over more than 4,000 euros per year. Of course, we are going to have to substitute driving with something else, but luckily we have plenty of options available for us to lower our costs and impact, of course. In the ease department, we came up with the following gains. The car from the electric car sharing program is actually closer to our home than our own parking lot. A big plus is that I wouldn't have to plan for maintenance anymore. That would cost me normally 2 days of work every year. The car sharing program has a great way of separating work use from private use in their easy to use app. This is going to save me a lot of time doing administration since I'm a self-employed person. Of course, we came up with some small losses in the ease department, but we felt that the money that we would save would definitely weigh up to this. And that concludes this video. But of course there is a lot more that can be done because your car is just one of the Impact Top 10 categories. If you haven't seen any of our previous videos yet, you can check them up here. If you enjoyed this video, please give us a like, subscribe to our channel and hit the notification bell. That way you'll help our very own green community grow and you'll stay up to date whenever we release another video. The next one is going to be about plant-based food, fish and drinks. If you can't wait for that one and you want more content straight away, you can always go to our Facebook and Instagram page. And if you have some amazing facts, tips or tricks, please share it with everyone and leave a positive comment down below. Thank you for watching and we hope to see you in the next video. Bye! Ik ga bewegen. And what you can do.
Focus! Focus!
But for now, we're gonna keep it. We're gonna keep it. They. Mand! Staat daar nou weer voor een of andere rare zot? Godverdomme, wat sta je te doen? Ja.
Focus!
Jongen.